Okay, we're gonna try this again. If you're on Instagram, you just heard everything because it was not muted. If you're on Facebook, I am no longer muted. The technical difficulties were real out in the street. Like, if you're on Instagram, you didn't hear, there was no technical difficulties. We was all here. But on Facebook, it was all kinds of technical difficulties. So we are here nevertheless. All right. So tonight we're gonna get into it. We are on part 2 of a 7-part series. Last week I introduced to you all about distractions. We talked a lot about how when you are trying to rebuild something that has been broken down and torn apart and really ravaged, i.e. your life, you get to this point where you want to start to rebuild it. And so you get the permission to rebuild it from yourself, from God, and you go off and you rebuild, whatever it is that you need to rebuild about yourself. And as you're rebuilding that, there's always some major distractions that come along and that come out the woodworks and that come at you. So one of the major distractions we talked about last week, we kind of worked backwards. So I'm going to go back to the very beginning this week. We learned about Nehemiah. We learned about who he was. Basically, he was a Jew who was serving the king of Persia. And he asked to go back to rebuild the wall. And so he did. So we're going to get into what happened when he went back to rebuild the wall. What happened when you all are going back and you're rebuilding, you're transforming and reclaiming? What are these distractions? So if you are coming in, make sure you say, hey, because StreamYard does not let me know who is in. If you come in, tag your friends, share out the video, because I really want us to understand what happens when we're trying to rebuild and we find ourselves getting distracted by any and everything or any and everybody. So we're going to talk about ridicule tonight. Where are you going to find the distraction of ridicule? If you are in the book of Nehemiah with us, I'm not going to read the scriptures because they are pretty long. So you can go back and read it for yourself. But it's the book of Nehemiah, chapter 4, verses 1 through 3. Now, what had happened is Nehemiah went to go rebuild this wall. And so now he has his haters, Sanballat and Tobiah, that don't want him to rebuild the wall. It's a funny thing. People can be so incredibly raggedy because it's like, if you are doing something that they don't want you to do or they're not doing, I don't understand why people can't just like let you live. You know what I mean? Like, let you go off and do whatever it is that you need to do. Why the need? Why is there a need to ridicule or mock or try and stop because you're not doing it? People's and the audacity of raggediness, that is not a word, but I'm gonna make it one tonight, really begins to get to me. So everyone has a Sanballat and Tobiah. Everyone in their life has somebody, whether you know it or not. You probably know it, you may not know it, but everybody has someone who is just not happy watching them grow, who is just not happy watching them build. We all have people who are just not happy with our evolution. The minute you get better, the minute you put things together, they're just not happy with it. They're either going to be very close to you or not so close to you. So Nehemiah in chapter 4, verses 1 through 3, you can go back and read it on your own. He is building this wall. Now, Sanballat and Tobiah they're sitting back doing nothing because your haters are going to be doing what? Nothing. I saw a quote that said, you will never be criticized by someone doing more than you. And by golly, it is right. You're never going to be criticized by someone that's doing more than you are or that is doing just as much. You're always going to be criticized by somebody who is just sitting back doing absolutely nothing. So they're doing nothing. They find out that not only did Nehemiah want to go rebuild the wall, so people are going to find out that not only do you want to rebuild your life and go for your purpose and create that job and go for it, but they find out that he actually is making headway. Like my man's Nehemiah and them, they're actually building this wall. Is it as strong as it was before? No, but it's going to get there. But the reality is they're making progress. They're making headway. So now Sanballat and Tobiah are like, hold on. First of all, who he think he is? So it actually says in the word that Sanballat and Tobiah get upset. Not only do they get upset, but they get like angry, like they're big mad. They get wroth with indignation. That's what it says. And that's like urban translation, they big mad. They mad. And you have to understand that as you begin to rebuild and put the pieces of your life back together, better than what it was before, some people are just going to be big mad about it. So what do? So this is what happens. So they're big mad, and now Nehemiah, now Sanballat and Tobiah, they're saying things like, "Oh, look at that wall." Basically, I'm translating for you all. Look at that wall. That wall is weak. I can knock that wall down. He not really building that wall. He ain't really doing that. When you go read it in the Bible, it will not say those words. It will say something along the lines, but I like to make it relatable to you all. Like I need to like translate it. So they are ridiculing the wall. They're ridiculing Nehemiah's work. And how does that look in 2021? That looks like, who does she think she is? Like, who does she think she is to go off and do that? Like, so all of a sudden she want to act brand new. That's what that looks like. In Nehemiah's day, it was they were making fun of the wall and how he rebuilt it. For you, it's gonna look like, who does she think she is? Oh, so all of a sudden she thinks she can go off and do that? Oh, all of a sudden she's a business owner now. Oh, all of a sudden she's an author now. I told you all my testimony. I heard it all. Who does she think she is? She can't make it without him. She's going to go crawling back. Watch. He does everything for her. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. The time where I needed the most encouragement, because it's not easy when you're rebuilding something. It's not easy when you're looking at your life and you're seeing it in shambles. You can very well leave it there in shambles. It's easy to, because you don't have to do any work to leave it there in shambles. But it's really difficult. It takes a lot of courage to look at that and say, something's wrong. I need to rebuild this. I need to do this all over again. And so when you need the most encouragement is when you'll get some encouragement. Don't get me wrong, because I don't want to be jaded with you all. But when you need the most encouragement, it's often when you're going to hear the most ridicule. And you have got to decide how much you're going to listen to that ridicule. If you see me looking down, I am definitely looking at my notes. You have to decide how much you're going to listen to that ridicule. Now, if you are like me and you are Petty Crocker, you are Petty Wop, you are you are Miss Petty, hearing that kind of ridicule will fuel you to do better. If you must listen to it, let it fuel you to do better. By all means, don't let it stop you. You got to understand that everyone's opinions, your purpose, how you rebuild your life, it was not a conference call. That's between you and God. So why are you letting everyone else's opinion stop you from how you rebuild your way unapologetically? They didn't get the commission you did. They didn't sit there and decide, okay, it's time for me to pick it up and do better with my life. You decided that. So Nehemiah is minding his own business. You are minding your own business, building your life. He's building the wall. Sanballat and Tobiah are ridiculing him. What I love about this is we are always given a way of escape. So in this, in the Bible, Nehemiah basically started praying. He heard what they were saying, but he didn't hear what they were saying. Nehemiah heard the ridicule, but he didn't hear the ridicule. Not enough to let it stop him. So when he was building, he turned his face towards God and he started praying. And then he began to keep building. Okay. First and foremost, if you're on Facebook, I see the numbers rising up. Make sure you say hey when you pop in. That way I can acknowledge you, throw you up on the screen, all that good stuff. So Nehemiah heard them and he begins to pray. He asked God for the strength to stay focused, to keep rebuilding that wall. And he does that. And he is dealing with the people who are building with him. You've got to get to the point where you are not interacting and conversing and going back and forth with people who are ridiculing you. You got to get to the point where you learn to turn your face from them and turn your face to the ones who are building with you. I once heard this woman preaching one time, and she said to me, hey, Tina, and she said to me, hey, Jen, and she said to me that when she's preaching, and when she goes and she preaches in places that she knows she's not welcome, or she knows it's tense, or she knows it's, or she knows it's a little bit combative, when she does not look at the faces that are snarling at her or kind of smirking or whatever, or ridiculing her. She finds the faces in the audience who are tuned in and who are tapped in and who want to see her do well and who want to hear how to get better and what to do. Those are the people that she finds, and she preaches to them, and she focuses on them. This is exactly what Nehemiah did. Nehemiah didn't spend any time going back and forth with somebody that was ridiculing them. Me talking to me, you cannot afford to clap back at everybody. You can't afford it, and you don't have the time to. And this is coming from somebody who, Tina, this is coming from somebody who is clapback queen. This is clapback central. This is like clapback. It takes me a second to come up with the clapback. You could be talking to me and ridiculing me, and before you even finish your sentence, I have already come up with the clapback, and I'm ready. But the more you stop and you deal with people who are ridiculing you, the less you're going to rebuild your life. The less you're going to do it your way. I mean, you think about Nehemiah. It seems like such an easy solution. Nehemiah began to pray. He prayed that God would give him the strength to continue building. He prayed for focus. Hey, Jasmine, I'm sorry. I haven't seen Jasmine in here in a very long time. Hi, hon. So it seems like something so easy, but here's praying it is easy. Doing it is quite another. So not only did Nehemiah not listen to what they were saying, once he heard what they were saying, he tuned them out. He began to pray. He shifted his focus, and he actually applied what he was praying. When you hear people ridicule you, and like I said, you will, no matter what you're trying to rebuild, no matter what you're trying to build, you're going to hear it initially, but the minute you hear it, you've got to then turn your whole energy, like turn your back on them, turn your whole energy and focus. It has to be you and God. And then once you pray that prayer of, it could be anything, that prayer of focus, that prayer of strength, that prayer of follow through, you now have to apply it. What does applying it look like though? It says that once Nehemiah turned his face to them and he prayed, he continued giving instructions. He continued working. Think about how many times you have stopped because what someone said to you really got you in the heart. And you begin to think, well, damn, maybe they're right. This doesn't look good. Or maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Or maybe I'm not the person for the job. Okay. But maybe you are. And what I love about this is, they were making fun of Nehemiah's wall. They were making fun of what he was rebuilding. People are going to always make fun of what you're rebuilding, especially in the very beginning, because here's the deal. None of us are building these amazing things at the very beginning. A lot of what we do is going to be a little raggedy at first. I don't know one business owner. I don't know one author, one teacher, anybody who's building something that had this grandiose thing come out of the blue, just come. All of us was a little raggedy in the beginning because you're learning, especially if you never rebuilt in the way that you're trying to rebuild. It's going to look a little raggedy in the beginning, and that's okay, as long as it does not look raggedy at the end point. Okay. So, right. Humble beginnings, and you don't despise those humble beginnings, but too many of us do because we hear other people's opinions, other people's criticism, and it's not even constructive. And then what happens? We stop. We sit on that thing that we have been wanting to do our entire life because somebody said, "Oh, it doesn't look right. You shouldn't be doing that. You're not the right person." Listen, I'm a minister, and do you know how many times I hear that I'm too sultry to be a minister? I don't know what kind of trifling stuff that is, y'all, but I mean, whatever. We here now. I have heard I'm too sultry to be a minister. Okay. I have heard that, because I love having my face beat and I love, I'm very flashy. I've heard that, that's not conducive to ministry. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here like, I grew up with the Clark sisters and all them. Did y'all not see everything about them? And for a long time, a lot of me stopping and not doing it, it is stupid. A lot of me not doing it was my own fear, but there was a whole fear of, okay, well, maybe I am too different for ministry. Meanwhile, that's who God picks. A lot of, yes, I tried multiple kinds of businesses. It's not until now that I experienced a shift. Okay, right. Now, Mary is a great example, okay? How a lot of times you're rebuilding and you're trying different things until you get it right. Mary was one of my first clients. So she knows I always told her that rebuilding is a working document. You're always going to revise it and redo it. And she did. But how many times in that revising and redoing does someone say to you, well, you changing it again? You might not want to do that anymore. And right there is where you stop. So when we talk about being self-aware, you have to know who you are and whose you are. You have to be aware enough to know when you're slowing down, when the thoughts and opinions of others are getting to you, and when people are just being outright mean and you're letting it affect you. I was a part of something, I'm trying to use my words with trepidation. I was a part of something and I was told that I was too confident. I was too sure. Basically no one liked to hear me talk about business. Mind you, I was right. I was dropping some gems, first of all, okay? I was dropping some jewels out here. And no one wanted to hear me talk about it. And they were saying all these things about me. And I thought I wasn't listening, but I was listening. And so when I listened to everything that they were saying about me, which really was ridicule, it really was. Who does she think she is? She's too sure of herself. She's too confident. She always talking about her business. So I didn't realize that I was listening to that. And when I did listen to it, I pulled back. I didn't go hard. And let me tell you, when I pulled back, hey, Taquan, when I pulled back, that was the worst year in business I had ever had. That was the worst year in business. Like my business didn't grow. My clientele didn't grow because I listened to people who were really jealous at the end of the day. And some of y'all gonna watch this some of y'all gonna watch it on a replay. I said what I said. Y'all know who y'all are. I said what I said. And the minute I came out of that, thank you. The minute I see y'all, my peoples, this is what I'm saying. This is gonna be my point in a second. The minute I stopped listening to that and I started doing me again, everything took off. Everything popped off because I'm doing me. And when you turn away from that and you listen to people and you deal with people who want you to succeed, you will rebuild in the way that you need to. Nehemiah was the bomb. Nehemiah is the GOAT of staying focused. The only other person who stayed focused more than Nehemiah is Jesus. Because that's the Son of God. He gonna be perfect for me. But Nehemiah said he is the GOAT of staying focused. He is the GOAT of staying on track. He is the GOAT of not letting anything take him off of his task. And that's what we're talking about tonight. Ridicule. It is ridicule. They words. You have the power to let them affect you or not. You know what I mean? You have the power to let them stop you or not. Keep building brick by brick. This is hard enough as it is to put one brick here, and that's part of your life that you've gotten together. Another brick there, that's part of your life that you smoothed together. Another brick there, that's not easy. And many of us, like Nehemiah, if dare I say all of us, who decide to get up and rebuild our life and create a life that we love, all of us, like Nehemiah in the Bible, are tasked with building on one hand and fighting off the enemy with the other. You are going to have to fight yourself throughout all of this. You're going to have to fight your own mindset. You're going to have to fight your own thoughts and opinions. You don't want the ridicule of others on you. So what are some practical techniques you can give me, Shamar? Nehemiah turned his focus and prayed and kept pushing. That is the number one thing you're going to do, because sometimes techniques will fail. Deep breathing techniques, sometimes they won't work. Reminding yourself of all the things that you've been able to build, sure, you can do that. But at the end of the day, there are some things that you just going to have to put your big girl drawers on, put your big boy drawers on, and really keep it pushing, because no one else is living this life other than you. I cannot imagine what would have happened if Nehemiah quit building that wall. I'm jumping way ahead, but I want to anyway. As we get towards the end, I want to jump way ahead anyway. I'm going to say it again. The walls of a city were part of its identity. It was their strength. It showed their strength in God. It showed who they are. The walls of a city were their identity. So imagine if Nehemiah has stopped building, has stopped helping these people rebuild their identity because somebody was ridiculing them. The children of Israel were already coming back after having been displaced. They were already in exile and they were already coming back home. Many of you are already coming back to yourself after having felt displaced, after having felt exiled. You're coming back to yourself right now. The storm clouds are breaking and you're coming back to what you know. And you're looking at yourself saying, I need to rebuild myself. Many of you are coming back. And you're looking at yourself and saying, okay, I'm back here now. How do I become better? And you're trying to rebuild your identity. You cannot let the opinions of others and the ridicule of others who are just mad that they're not doing it stop you. Point blank and the period. That is on Mary Had a Little Lamb right there. So I don't know who could be watching this or listening to this. I'm going to encourage you and challenge you. And I give if you are in group coaching, or if you're a one-on-one client, you know that I give challenges every week. I'm going to challenge you. Think back to what you let go of. Really think back to it. I'll use myself as an example. Years ago, when I was going through my divorce, I had to stop and think, what did I stop doing that made me me? And part of it was writing. I always wanted to be an author and I gave up on it. So I picked up writing all over again, which is why I'm offering blogger applications for my website, because I want to give women the opportunity to do that. I picked up writing, I started blogging, and then eventually I did write my book. So I want to encourage you to really sit down and think about, what did I put off to the side? What did I sit down on the table? What did I walk away from because I didn't think I can do it? And you combine that with other people's ridicule about it. What did I let go of? And I want you to pick it back up again, especially if you know it's something that you're focused on doing and you know what's in your heart to do. I want you to pick that back up again and begin to rework your plan. Think about the plan you had in place. That was probably a good plan too. So many people out here have these amazing plans that they don't get to follow through on because of other people's raggediness. Raggediness. It's going to be a word tonight, y'all. It's going to be a word. They didn't do it because of other people's raggediness. Okay. Let's remove the raggedy folks. Get around some people who love you. If you don't have anybody else around you, I have found that when God begins to strip away the people who are talking about you, who don't mean any good for you, He will always replace them with people who will be on your side. Sometimes we do have to spend some time in an incubation period with God, growing with God, and that's okay too. But pick up those things that you left behind. Pick up the plan that you left behind and put it in place. We're not playing small anymore because of other people's ridicule. We not. I've done it. It does not work. We taking up all the space from here on out. It's interesting. We are children of the Most High, and we let everybody else run us. Not on today, not on tomorrow. I'm not the 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, and neither are you. So that is tonight. Next week, we are back here next week with part 3. If you know me, I encourage you to be here on every part, because if you know me, I always have a surprise at the end of a series. Always. It's always some new release, and people who are on the series either get giveaways or like huge coupons for it. So I always have a surprise for y'all. Next week, we're going to talk about direct attacks, what that looks like. Unfortunately, we are not going to get out of this life without having someone directly attack us. I went through it this summer. Like I had to grab lawyers and send cease and desist letters and everything. I went through it this summer out of nowhere. We're not going to get out of this life. Some people are just going to start, because the ridiculing doesn't work. If they say, okay, I can't ridicule her into not doing it, she's going to stay focused and do it, I'm just going to start attacking her directly. I'm going to start throwing false accusations. I'm going to start throwing rumors. I'm just going to attack her. In the Bible, there was a threat of a physical attack. Telling you right now, I've never had a threat of a physical attack. I wish somebody would. I'm just saying. If you're watching, I wish you would. But anywho, but we're going to talk about what happens, what direct attack looks like, and how to handle that. So that is next week. Make sure you're following. Make sure you're here, because I always give away updates. Thank you to everyone that pops on. Thank you to the surprises of the night. Jasmine, Mrs. Knighton, Mary, one of my first clients, Taekwon. Thank you to all of the surprises. I was really happy to see your names and y'all's faces. To everyone on Instagram, thank you. If you're watching this on the replay, y'all, my bad about the beginning. See, what had happened was This is what had happened. Okay. I was having some technical difficulties, and then I was talking for like a good 2 minutes, and I realized that I was still muted. StreamYard usually handle that for me, but they wasn't on their job tonight. So now I got to send a little email. I think I just paid an invoice. So we have to work that out too. I know I'm quick to get my money back. All right. So that is all I have tonight. I do not want to keep you all past half an hour. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Come back next week. We are going to finish all of these. It's a whole series we're doing, and we're going to finish it. If you need to know how to watch a replay, you can watch it here, or you can watch it on my YouTube channel. Okay. Shamara Tanya, type it in. It will all pull up, and you'll see all the past live streams that I've done as well. I will see you all next week. Lastly, tomorrow applications close. If you've been following me, I have been putting up posts. I am looking for bloggers for my website. I'm looking for a blogging team, and I'm putting that together. So applications, if you go in the profile, the Linktree link in my profile, and click on it, you can apply to be a blogger. Applications close tomorrow, and then everyone will have their acceptance letters by Monday. So I'm really excited to be putting together a team. It was done for me. I had the ability to be on the blogging team when I was getting started, and it was like the segue to my book and the segue to everything else that I'm doing for you all. So I'm excited about that. So if you would like to apply, it is going to be, and it's easy. Do that, and you might be on the blogging team. I mean, I'll be excited to highlight you and your talent. I'm not looking at your follower count. I don't care about that. I'm looking at your passion for helping others, and I'm looking at how you pour into women through your words. I'm looking at your talent. I'm not looking at your follower account. We're not doing that out here. All right. You all have a good night. I have a hard time saying goodbye. You all have a good night, and I will see you all next week. The other last thing for real, this is the last thing for real. If you're wondering about these assignments, if you're in my group coaching, group coaching women aren't here, I always teach like this every Monday night. So they get an hour because it's a paid group. So they usually get an hour of teaching. So I do teach like this for an hour every Monday night in my group. If you're interested in group coaching, click the link in my bio, go to my website, sign up. I use Sezzle now. So if you need to like break up the payments, you absolutely can. I look forward to seeing you, and we will be back here again next week. Have a wonderful night, everybody. Mary, good luck on your homework, sis. And I will talk to you all soon.